When it comes to changing the tide of public consciousness, university students are often at the forefront of such change, and that's exactly what's happening at Concordia University right now. Of course, when it comes to going green, it never hurts to have someone like David Suzuki backing your plan. There's a pair of award-winning musicians on stage.
Well, another day breaks and the last one's gone.
A massive conference hall filled with 5,000 eager sets of ears. Even the elder statesman of the Canadian environmental movement is on hand.
A warm welcome to Dr. David Suzuki.
Without a doubt, the green movement is at an all-time high.
Now, for the first time in history, we have to ask the question, what is the collective impact of all 6.5 billion human beings?
The changes that have happened now in terms of awareness and acceptance of the environmental message is remarkable. 20 years ago, I couldn't walk into a meeting with the editorial board of newspapers or with some corporation, talk to employees, and not get dumped on like mad. Today, the respect with which I'm great, part of it is I've gotten older and I've got no teeth left, and so I'm not so frightening maybe, but I think there has been a change.
But is it just a momentary high point, a peak of popularity destined to fade away?
I have to say, we've been here before. 1988, the environment was at the absolute top of the agenda. The great tragedy is that we've already been there and we allowed it to slip away. So now it's come back up. It's a bittersweet moment. We've got to keep the pressure up and not let it slide again.
The nature of the challenge has changed since the 1980s. It's no longer about raising awareness. It's about raising money.
The one thing that we didn't want it to be was just kind of a fad where, you know, the environment was big for 1 or 2 years. And so what we're doing now is we're implementing something called the 1% campaign, where we're trying to institutionalize a change in behavior. So at all the universities across Canada, we're asking students to give 1% of their tuition towards making their universities the most sustainable in the world.
The first test site for the program is Concordia University in Montreal.
I think it's great that there is this 1% initiative, that students are saying, let's take 1% of our fees and start putting it to doing good things.
The hope is that the students' money will encourage the university to put some of its own cash on the table.
I think if there's a great enough student voice on this subject, then the administration would make fools of themselves not to pay note to it.
It should embarrass the adults. The faculty ought to be saying, my God, why are the students driving this? We should be having the greenest university around.
The money will go to projects that are simple, but potentially very effective.
We're creating it mandatory so that if you submit your paper into a professor, it's mandatorily double-sided printing. That alone will save over 6 million pieces of paper at our university.
Other plans are more high-tech, like replacing the diesel-powered shuttle buses with greener models.
The biodiesel or electric buses would be wonderful because they do roll all day.
And every student will be given a reusable mug to reduce the waste of using disposable cups. Eventually, the organizers hope it'll be impossible to buy a coffee on campus without bringing your own mug.
So this is the maturing compost.
All those ideas are in addition to student initiatives already underway.
Looking around here and seeing a student-driven project to use these derelict greenhouses to start projects, it's the involvement that keeps the ideas alive. And once you begin doing a few small things, it becomes autocatalytic. You get new ideas and it just carries you on.
This is the most exciting moment to be alive in all of human history.
While it might not seem fair that the cost of the projects is falling on students, it's young people who have the most to lose.
Young people, first of all, it's their entire adult lives that's at stake now. What is or is not done now is going to affect them for the rest of their lives. I'm in the last part of my life. Whatever happens or doesn't happen is going to have very little consequence for me. But the changes that are going on have an enormous impact on my children and grandchildren. And what I am most frightened by is the lack of a sense of urgency on the part of our so-called leaders. But we've got to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by the order of 80 to 90% in just a few decades. That's going to be a major challenge.
So you slip out the back and you're moving on.
To It seems everyone is singing green these days, but there's a lot of work to do when you're attacking the problem just 1% at a time.
This is a race and I hope you come last. Be on a bridge, you know